And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will be discussing the report that recently came out of the Biden administration about climate and energy implications of crypto assets in the United States. Now, many are, especially in the Bitcoin community, they are trying to dismiss this report as it's nothing to worry about. Oh, it's just FUD. But if you've been following me for a while, you would know that I'm always a forward looking individual and understanding that we are going through the fourth industrial revolution as well as the great reset, and that the powers that be, they have an agenda. And one of the things that you will know and learn about the elites is that they always signal what they're getting ready to do, maybe a year or two before they get ready to do it. And that it isn't a coincidence that on September 8th, this report is released 5 days, 6 days, maybe 7 days prior to the Ethereum merge, where Ethereum is moving from proof of work over to proof of stake. And when you really start kind of backing up and looking at this from a more macro perspective, yes, we know for a fact that Bitcoin does not waste energy. We know that. This is not sitting up here saying that the report is true. What it's letting you know is what they are posturing and looking to do, especially once you start diving into the ESG standard that is being applied, which is a social credit score towards most companies and corporations. And when you look at the fact that crypto is starting to become corporate, where you have large banks and institutions getting involved in validating transactions. We just watched this happen with Ethereum and the whole tornado cash debacle with OFAC. And now we're starting to see mining become industrialized, where you have large mining companies and corporations that are based in the United States getting involved in the actual, verifying and validating the state of the Bitcoin blockchain. You cannot dismiss this. And what I was able to take away from this when I was reading this, which is another reason why I'm in the process of repositioning my portfolio, is that Ripple was not a coincidence in regards to the actual SEC coming and getting involved. See, again, you can't just watch what's happening in the front. You have to also watch what's happening in the back. And what you start to understand is that there's really no difference between big government and big corporations. In most cases, they're in bed together. And in the public, they may make it seem like the Republicans hate the Democrats and the Democrats hate the Republicans. And we're going to find these greedy capitalists. But in the end, you have lobbyists, you have, corporations, and you have politicians all working together. And Ripple was the quote unquote Trojan horse, the quote unquote company that everyone knew is a security. Like anyone looking at Ripple can see that it's a security. But what it's going to do is it's going to set the framework for how crypto is going to be regulated, right? And then when you look at a lot of these Ponzi schemes in crypto, it sets the door now for the government to come in. Now, in some cases, regulation is going to be great. And as we're going to start to see, I'm going to play Powell even talking about the implications of this technology. And what you start seeing is they use the term DLT multiple times in this report, distributed ledger technology. And when you start looking at things like Constellation DAG, and you look at other protocols and cryptocurrencies like HBAR or Energy Web Token, it's setting up the scene for these cryptocurrencies to do well. And then when you understand what ESG is all about in regards to actually grading companies on how they impact the environment, how they interact with the community socially, and the governance of their actual company, where you have $9 trillion plus. This is the type of money that's sitting on the sidelines that's only going to go towards companies that's abiding by these type of rules and regulations. It sets the scene for you now to start asking yourself, are you here to make money, or are you here to invest in the quote unquote concept of decentralization, right? So again, we're going to dive into these different things now. I want to make this clear because I know some of you cannot walk and chew gum. I am not saying that Bitcoin wastes energy. I am not saying that this report is true. What I'm saying to you is that the powers that be are sending you a warning shot as to what they are getting ready to do or what's in their mind. And at the end of the day, they control the media, they control the tanks, they control the guns. Therefore, they will be able to embed this type of thoughts and these thoughts into the masses. So, with that being said, please like the video, share the video, make sure that you subscribe and set the notification bell. You click it and set it to all so that you can receive all of my notifications when I go live. Also, if you want to follow me on my other social media platforms, my Instagram page is below in the description. Simply click it. You can follow me. Be mindful. There's a lot of people out here trying to impersonate me, making fake pages of me. I would never DM you first. I am not involved in any Forex trading, any stock groups. I only have cryptocurrency investments. With that being said, if you are interested in the investment opportunities that I have to offer, you are going to text the word invest to the number in the description below. When you get on my text message list, I'm going to send you a video breaking down the various investment opportunities that I have to offer. Again, I'm not a part of any stock trading groups or any options groups or any Forex groups. I only have cryptocurrency investments, and you can find out about those investment opportunities by texting the word invest to the number in the description below. Also, YouTube does not send out my notifications when I go live. So if you simply text the word YouTube to that number, you'll be on my text message list. So prior to me going live, I'll be able to notify you when I am going live. Also, I am the founder and creator of My Tech Academy. We cover all things Web3, how to buy, sell, and store your cryptocurrencies, put together a portfolio. We also have a coding bootcamp going on right now. We also teach you, we have technical analysis going on with my partner, Bruce. And we also teach you about NFTs, DeFi, yield farming, staking cryptocurrencies. If it's about Web3, we cover it. You can also book consultations with me as well. A link to join My Tech Academy is in the description below. We have a free 3-day trial. You are welcome to come test it out and see if you like it, free of charge. With that being said, everything's out the way. If you can see me and hear me clearly, simply type 1 and we can get started. Great. So, as I was saying with the introduction, I am not saying to you that this report is accurate, nor am I saying to you that it's true, nor am I saying to you that Bitcoin wastes electricity. What I'm saying to you, and I want to make this perfectly clear because I know that the trolls are going to come. When you start seeing this, they're showing you about how they're going to try to attack Bitcoin from the standpoint that Bitcoin wastes energy and that it harms the environment. And if Bitcoin's going to be true money, if it's going to be a new financial system, it has to be able to withstand these attacks. You cannot go into a fight and not expect to get hit. So when you witness China try to ban Bitcoin, it didn't work, right? Bitcoin is anti-fragile, meaning that every single time that you try to attack it, it gets stronger. And I believe that Bitcoin is going to be able to survive this with no problem. But I'm also no fool, and I'm also here to make money. And I understand that when I see something like this, this is the powers that be behind the scenes letting you know where they're going to start putting their money. You're going to start to see the word DLT over and over and over again. There are different forms of cryptocurrencies or quote unquote distributed ledger technology that's different from proof of work. Proof of work is simply the consensus mechanism that Bitcoin uses to verify transactions. Whereas with Ethereum, they currently use proof of work, but they're moving over to proof of stake. So look what P, and I just want to show you guys kind of the trolls. Like I want to show you the things that you attract. It says, Eli, you're a liar. Bitcoin isn't decentralized. That was the first lie. Then you said it's impossible to ban Bitcoin. Well, there you go. Who banned Bitcoin? See, and I want to stop and always address these people before we start reading this report, because I want to show you how stupid people really are. Bitcoin has not been banned. And see, when you ask questions and you try to have intelligent conversations, you have these people who can't walk and chew gum that will come here and say foolishness like this. Where has Bitcoin been banned at? The United States has not banned Bitcoin. You can still send Bitcoin with absolutely no problem whatsoever. The whole purpose of this conversation is, remember, the purpose of this channel is that we are forward looking. We're not backwards looking. So we have to position our portfolios as to what's going to give us the most gains. So I know you got your little bit of attention. I wanted to address you just to kind of, because I know people are going to watch this later. So these are the type of morons that are walking around. And see, this is why, follow me, this is important. This is why reports like this is why it's released. And this is why CNBC and Bloomberg will take these reports and run with it, because the masses are like P4P number. They're not that bright. So they're going to take this report and go, see, I told you, Bitcoin's not decentralized. So now we removed him. So let's start reading the briefing. If you actually want to read the entire report is right here. So it's a statement of purpose. On March 9th, 2022, President Biden signed Executive Order 14067, ensuring responsible development of digital assets to support responsible digital asset development in line with our climate objectives and for the benefit of everyone in America. The president directed the White House of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, and its partners from the Executive Office of the President and across federal agencies to examine the connections between distributed ledger technology, pay attention to that word, and energy transitions, the potential for these technologies to impede or advance efforts to tackle climate change at home and abroad, and the impacts these technologies have on the environment. So I highlighted some brief things. I'm not going to read the entire report, but I want to kind of read these different things, and I'm going to pull up some articles and pull up some videos so that we can kind of really unpack what's going on here. So, climate change is one of the most pressing problems confronting our nation and our world, and President Biden has taken bold steps to address it with legislation and policy. Among the president's commitments are protecting communities from pollution, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030, achieving a carbon pollution-free electricity grid by 2035. Why did I highlight that? The first thing that stood out to me, remember, we're talking about investments, how you should be looking to structure your portfolio. Achieving a carbon pollution-free electricity grid by 2035. First cryptocurrency that popped up in my mind is what? Energy Web Token. See, you got to be able to take a step back. And a lot of you ask me, where do I get my investment thesis from? Where do I position my portfolio from? I read reports like this. The powers that be will tell you where the money's about to flow. They're looking to upgrade the whole idea of build back better, fixing American infrastructure. See, part of making money and being a good investor is seeing the obvious before the obvious. So now when we pull up something like Energy Web Token, give me a second, I want to pull up CoinMarketCap, because this is the purpose of reading this report, so that you can start getting ideas in regards to how would you want to start positioning your portfolio. So I have it right here. We have Energy Web Token. See, you don't wait until everyone is talking about a cryptocurrency to start investing in it. You want to start positioning yourself before all of the money comes. Well, right now, Energy Web Tokens market cap is $132 million. So now you're able to buy into this project at the basic bottom of the market. It's $132 million. It is a baby. Now, if it gets to $1.3 billion, that's 10 times on your money. If it gets to $100 billion, you do the math, right? This is how you start sizing up your investment opportunities, where you could potentially do a 100x, if not better, on your investment. Because right on cue, now again, I know what you're saying to yourself. Oh, Eli, you're over exaggerating. Okay, right on cue. Energy Web Token jumps 25% after BlackRock gives decarbonization project a shout out. Who is BlackRock? BlackRock is one of the largest institutions in the world. What is BlackRock starting to do? abide by the concept of ESG, environmental, social, governance standards that they're holding companies to. So when you are sitting back here and you're reading this report, you can't just sit up here and talk about being a Bitcoin maximalist. We know that they can't ban the technology. We know that they can't stop it, but can they make it hard? Can they make it difficult for a year? And now, will that $9 trillion not flow towards Bitcoin or Bitcoin companies? And maybe will it flow towards things like Energy Web Token? This is how you got to start approaching it. Now, and reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions no later than 2050. To achieve ambitious goals, we must ensure that emerging technologies contribute to a net zero clean energy future. The use of digital assets based on distributed ledger technology is expanding. Digital assets are a form of value represented digitally. As an emerging technological innovation, digital assets have provided some benefits and value for some residents and businesses in the United States and have the potential for future benefits with emerging uses. What do I always sit up here and talk to you guys about? The fact that this is technology. Bitcoin is just the first iteration. It's the first proof of concept that actually was able to work. There was many previous predecessors to Bitcoin, B-Money, BitGold, Liberty Reserve, etc. But Bitcoin actually solved the double spending problem. Okay, that's great. But now there's other use cases that's starting to emerge. So again, if you're looking to be an investor, and this is where one of the things that Richard Hart says that I actually agree with, when he talks about the fact that Bitcoin is at the top of his S curve, meaning that you have most of the people who want to be in and have money, they're kind of already in. Where, again, like I just showed you something like Energy Web Token, where it's $132 million in regards to the market cap. So if you start getting large institutions to start parking their money behind something like an Energy Web Token, think about the gains that you can get. That does not mean go out and sell all of your Bitcoin. That does not mean not to own Bitcoin. It simply means that you should start looking at your portfolio from a perspective that you're trying to build wealth. Be mindful of that. Now, right on cue, when this came out, we have this right here. Jerome Powell talking about the technology.
Support the views expressed in the president's working. I, of course, would support the views expressed in the president's working group report on stablecoins. Stablecoins can certainly be a useful, efficient, consumer-serving part of the financial system if they're properly regulated. And right now they aren't. And they have the potential to scale, particularly if they were to be associated with one of the very large tech networks that exist, and you could have a payment network that was immediately systemically important, close to immediately systemically important, that didn't have appropriate regulation and protections. The public relies on the government and the Fed in particular to make sure that the payment system is safe and reliable, as well as the dollar, and to provide a safe and reliable, trusted currency. So, but I do think those are longer term. In terms of, the more the cryptocurrencies, that are really speculative assets, I don't see them as a financial stability concern at the moment. I do think they are risky. They're not backed by anything, and I think there are big consumer issues for consumers who may or may not understand what they're getting, and there's certainly developments in the markets that are worth following, which are really not in our jurisdiction, but things like the kind of leverage that's built in.
So the key here is that he sees value in stablecoins. Stablecoins can be a useful, efficient, consumer-serving part of the financial system if they are properly regulated. So this is what I'm trying to say to you about when you're reading this report. What I'm taking away from this report is that they understand the technology has use cases. So when you come across people who say crypto is a scam or crypto has no use cases, walk away from those people, because clearly they're not paying attention to what's going on. This technology is here to stay. You are investing in the concept of the Web 3.0. The problem is it just has to be built. And that's going to take time, which is why you need to be positioning yourself for what's to come, whether it's investing in this technology, whether it's seeking employment in this technology, around this technology, or building a business around this technology. But they're not producing these reports for no reason. And Powell isn't talking about the effectiveness of this technology for no reason. It's definitely here to stay. So, back to the report. Crypto assets are digital assets that are implemented using cryptographic techniques. Crypto assets can require considerable amounts of electricity usage, which can result in greenhouse gas emissions, as well as additional pollution, noise, and other local impacts to communities living near mining facilities. Depending on the energy intensity of the technology and the sources of the electricity used, the rapid growth of crypto assets could potentially hinder broader efforts to achieve U.S. climate commitments to reach net zero carbon pollution. I read this part already. It says today, the OSTP published this report examining the challenges and the opportunities of crypto assets for the United States clean energy and climate change goals, and providing a set of recommendations to further study and track the impacts of the sector, develop potential performance standards, and provide tools and resources to reduce negative impacts. This report's assessment and recommendation align with federal actions that reduce greenhouse gas emissions to protect public health and welfare, grow a clean energy economy with good paying jobs, and improve environmental justice. Crypto assets can be energy intensive, and the United States has a major crypto asset sector. Very, very important here. From 2018 to 2022, annualized electricity usage from global crypto assets grew rapidly, with estimates of electricity usage doubling to quadrupling. As of August 2022, published estimates of the total global electricity usage for crypto assets are between 120 and 240 billion kilowatt hours per year, a range that exceeds the total annual electricity usage of many individual countries, such as Argentina and Australia. This is equivalent to 0.4 to 0.9% of annual global electricity usage and is comparable to the annual electricity usage of all conventional data centers in the world. So I just want to kind of put that into its proper perspective here. That what they're saying here, based upon this report, is that it's using more electricity, right? So it says this is equivalent to 0.4 to 0.9% of annual global electricity usage is comparable to the annual electricity usage of all conventional data centers in the world. So they basically are saying that the amount of energy that crypto is using, and what they're really referring to is basically Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they're the largest proof of work miners, is similar to all of the data centers combined in the world in regards to energy usage, right? Now, someone says not backed by anything. You have to use ASICs. Back in the day, it was one CPU. It was with one. I really don't understand what you're saying. It says back in the day, it was anyone with a CPU could mine BTC. Absolutely, but obviously, as you have more and more people coming into the network, obviously the difficulty level goes up, and then you now have people developing ASICs, and now it just becomes more of a race to who can develop the faster chips, faster semiconductors, and the more powerful machines. So this right here is what stood out to me, these two paragraphs. Nearly all crypto asset electricity usage is driven by consensus mechanisms, the DLT used to mine and verify crypto assets. The dominant consensus mechanism is called proof of work, which is what Bitcoin uses, which is used by the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains. Ethereum, remember, is moving over to proof of stake. And as I said to you before, what a coincidence that this report comes out, a week before Ethereum moves over to proof of stake, which should be telling you something. That clearly Ethereum has people on the inside in government, lobbyists, right, who are going to put out and publish these type of reports to muddy up the water. You have to be forward looking when you're looking to invest. It says Bitcoin and Ether combined represent more than 60% of the total crypto asset market capitalization. The proof of work mechanism is designed to require more computing power as more entities attempt to validate transactions for coin rewards. And this feature helps disincentivize malicious actors from attacking the network. As of August 2022, Bitcoin is estimated to account for 60 to 70% of the total global crypto asset electricity usage. And Ethereum is estimated to account for 20 to 39%. So basically, Ethereum and Bitcoin, because they're proof of work blockchains, are using up a majority of the quote unquote energy for crypto assets. So the energy efficiency of mining equipment has been increasing, but electricity usage continues to rise. Other less energy intensive crypto asset ledger technologies exist with different attributes and uses. Switching to alternative crypto asset technologies such as proof of stake could dramatically reduce overall power usage to less than 1%. What did I say to you guys? This is what they're saying, is that there are other cryptocurrencies that are designed different, that do not have to utilize a lot of electricity in regards to proof of work. Now, right on cue, and this is something that I wanted to kind of start looking into, and I said to this to you guys before, that there's a lot of companies now getting involved with crypto, whether there's institutions investing in particular companies or directly into cryptocurrencies. Right here it says the top 100 public companies investing in blockchain and crypto companies. So I highlight, I'm not going to read this whole thing. It says, in this brief, using CB Insights funding data, we dig into the blockchain investments these top corporations made from September 2021 to mid-June 2022. 40 corporations invested in companies in the blockchain crypto space during this time. Samsung is the most active, having invested in 13 companies. UOB came in next with 7 investments, followed by Citigroup with 6 investments and Goldman Sachs with 5. And right here, you can see the list. You have Alphabet, which is Google's parent company. They invested $1.5 billion. BlackRock, the company who just shouted out Energy Web Token. And look what they invested in. Circle, which is the company behind USDC. And they also invested in FTX, which is a centralized exchange. Where am I going with this? You're starting to see corporations get involved in crypto. And this is why I'm positioning my portfolio to look at things like Constellation DAG, HBAR, cryptocurrency projects like Energy Web Token. Why? Because, or even Quant for that matter, they're creating enterprise-based blockchains where that these corporate, so it's not that it's 100% public and open, where you can have private ledgers as well. So why am I sharing this with you? If they're talking about this in reports, they're telling you that there's alternative cryptocurrencies. There's trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline. You're starting to see Goldman Sachs, Bank of New York Mellon, PayPal get involved in investing in these different foundations and different crypto companies. You should be doing the same. You should be taking out the time and not being like a Bitcoin maximalist and putting up reports like this. For example, talking about the carbon emissions of Bitcoin compared to other industries. We know for a fact Bitcoin does not waste energy. We know that. We know for a fact that Bitcoin is a threat to the traditional system. But we also know that Bitcoin's not going to be the only one that's going to be successful. And when you sit back and you look at some of these projects, for example, Energy Web Token, I showed you guys, or even something like HBAR, and you look at the fact that it's only worth $1.3 billion and is trading at 6 cents, right? These are other DLTs, distributed ledger technologies. Now, Hedera Hashgraph is basically, it's a DAG, right? It's a directed acyclic graph. And it basically, it's not a blockchain in regards to how you have one block and then you have to wait a certain amount of time and then you have another block, right? Effectively, what this is basically, it uses a gossip protocol where you're basically, each node is gossiping about the transactions that they have. Don't worry, there's tons of videos on YouTube for you to get more information. I don't want to spend 30 minutes explaining how it works. What I want you to understand is that, look at the market cap. This is how you make 30 times on your money. this is how you make 20 times on your money. By reading reports like this, seeing how institutions are positioning themselves, and then saying to yourself, okay, I want to go do more research about these other DLTs. Another one that I've been looking into a lot recently is a Constellation DAG. Right here. DAG is the symbol. Look at this market cap, $100 million. This is a baby. It is a baby. It has so much more room to run to the upside in the event that these institutions get involved and they start looking for other quote unquote DLTs. Now, it says the United States is estimated to host about a third of global crypto asset operations, which currently consume about 0.9 to 1.7 of total U.S. electricity usage. This range of electricity usage is similar to all home computers or residential lighting in the United States. Crypto asset mining is highly mobile. The United States currently hosts the world's largest Bitcoin mining industry, totaling more than 38% of global Bitcoin activity, up 3.5% in 2020. Despite the potential for rapid growth, future electricity demand from crypto asset operations is uncertain, demonstrating the need for better data to understand and monitor electricity usage from crypto assets. Let's step back here for a second. Look at this sentence. The United States currently hosts the world's largest Bitcoin mining industry, totaling more than 38% of global Bitcoin activity. That's a problem because, again, in the event that they go and they create rules and regulations around what type of mining they will allow, because if you go to page 20, I believe 24 or 26 in the actual report, they talk about how, they were able to use methane and more renewables to actually mine Bitcoin. That's going to be a problem for people who are not using renewable energy to mine Bitcoin. And I know what people are going to say, oh, well, it's a protocol. I understand that. Guys, you cannot ban the technology, but you can ban people from using the technology. And if anything you've learned in 2020 is that the sheeple will get in line. They were able to lock down an entire country without firing a shot. See, and this is one of the problems with a lot of the Bitcoin community is that you don't get prepared for war when war is at your door. You prepare for war before the war gets there. And in the event that they come out here and they start going after certain types of mining, you best believe that they will come knock on your door and force you to shut your mining operation down. Now, remember, a lot of Bitcoin mining is industrialized, meaning, how do you buy a Bitcoin miner? You have to use what? A credit card. You don't think that they don't know that you've used a credit or a debit card to buy your Bitcoin miner? You don't think that they can't look at the amount of energy that you're pulling in a particular location and just simply come and drone strike you in the event that you don't abide by rules and regulations? See, you have to be forward looking and understand, is that extreme? Absolutely. But let's not pretend that they don't drone strike people in other countries. Let's not pretend that every single thing that you do is not tracked, traced, and monitored and stored somewhere. Let's not pretend that as you invite more corporations into Bitcoin and Bitcoin becomes highly industrialized in regards to how cryptocurrencies is mined, that these people will not abide by U.S. rules and regulations. Right? So again, I'm not sitting up here saying to you that these things are going to happen. I'm sitting up here saying to you that you have to start paying attention to these things. I'm a forward-looking and thinking individual. I do not wait for something to happen to start getting prepared. I prepare ahead of time. It's a reason why I've been involved in crypto since 2012, because I've been a forward-looking person. And when I start seeing stuff like this, and you start seeing so much Bitcoin mining coming over here into the States, yes. Is Bitcoin mining mobile? Absolutely. Can you take your Bitcoin miners to other countries? Absolutely. That still does not negate the fact that there will, in the event that you have corporations, like we just watched what happened with the quote unquote tornado cash disaster with Ethereum, Will these corporations abide by OFAC's rules and regulations and start censoring transactions? We're already starting to see it. So be mindful of these things and don't just look at this report and dismiss like, oh, well, Bitcoin doesn't waste energy. It doesn't matter if it doesn't waste energy if it's not true. They think it does. And at the end of the day, they have the ability to make things difficult. Now, I truly believe that Bitcoin can weather the storm. I think that Bitcoin's going to be fine. I have to keep repeating these things back to people over and over again. I am not bearish on Bitcoin. I am not saying Bitcoin's not decentralized. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is a scam. I have to keep repeating these things for those of you in the back, right? I'm saying to you that this is something that you should be paying attention to. Now, I want to read this right here. It says distributed ledger technologies may help with climate monitoring or mitigation. DLT may have a role to play in enhancing market infrastructure for a range of environmental markets like carbon credit markets. Who's getting into that marketplace? Who's trying to create a marketplace for that? Energy Web Token. And then down here, this was another one that stood out to me. And this is where we get to the banning concept, right? So it says, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want to bore you guys. It says, should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the administration should explore executive actions and Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset mining. Let me repeat that for you guys in the back. Should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the administration should explore executive actions and Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset mining. That is a warning shot. That is for you to start paying attention. They're talking about other blockchains and the potential. You're seeing the money start to come in. You're seeing the adoption start to come in. And right on cue, look at this. Fairborn puts a 6-month ban on crypto mining data centers involved with Bitcoin. This was on Friday, September 9th, 2022. Right? Right? Understand, I'm not making these things up. I'm not being an alarmist. I'm informing you. Remember, corporations are different than individuals. The whole purpose of crypto was to bring individual liberty and sovereignty and decentralization. Corporations do not have the same beliefs that you and I have. And as crypto becomes more corporate, the people and the individuals working on building these cryptocurrencies and blockchains need to start figuring out ways to further protect the actual protocol from corporations taking over the protocol. Because look what happened to Ethereum with the whole merge. Effectively, you need 32 ETH to be a validator. Most people don't have 32 ETH. So what does that force you to do? It forces you to go and stake your coins with an exchange. Well, if exchanges want to do business in the United States or are based in the United States, they have to comply with OFAC rules and regulations, which means they have to start censoring certain particular transactions, let's say that interacted with Tornado Cash. That is a flaw in how Ethereum was designed. Or maybe that's a feature. They wanted it to be that way. Whatever the case may be, what I'm trying to get you to understand is the powers that be are coming. And they're going to pump your bags. They're already signaling to you that the technology has use cases and that they're looking for other technologies. The purpose of this report, see, one thing about me, I didn't look at this report and go, oh my God, crypto's a scam, sell everything. I said to myself, okay, this tells me that they're looking for alternatives to proof of work. And when I keep seeing DLT, the first thing that pops in my mind is Hedera Hashgraph, Constellation DAG, Energy Web Token, and Quant. And if you've been following me on this channel for a while, I've been talking to you about all of these projects besides Constellation DAG. So What you should be doing is educating yourself on these particular cryptocurrencies and what's going to happen. Because again, the more regulatory compliant these cryptocurrencies are, the more money and capital that they will attract. Why? Because I just told you, companies like BlackRock want to invest in cryptocurrency protocols that are ESG friendly. There we go, Todd Mack. Governments always picks winners and losers. And it's just important that you start understanding these things. And the first thing that also too that jumped in my mind was Ripple, where what's happening with Ripple is not a coincidence. It is not a mistake. And you know, a lot of this too, you have to understand how government works and how corporations work. And the fact that they are self-serving entities. Big government and big corporations, they go hand in hand. And what you'll see in most cases is you'll see people leave the private sector, come work in the public sector, change a bunch of rules and regulations, and go back to the private sector. So when I'm looking at who has the most capital to move markets, it's not mom and pop investors like you and I. It's governments and it's corporations. Governments and corporations are, at the end of the day, what's going to move markets. And if you have this much capital sitting on the sidelines, obviously they know how to go and lobby government to get rules passed in their favor, right? And they know how to then put people in certain positions to go and change rules and regulations. Why do you think Hank Paulson and Timothy Geithner went from Goldman Sachs to the Treasury and back into the private sector? After they went there, they picked winners and losers. They picked who they were going to bail out back in 08, 09, and all of that. And then they went back to the private sector like nothing ever happened. They are the original gangsters, right? So when I was reading this report, I wasn't getting scared because I know you can't ban a protocol. Bitcoin will be fine. But I understand now the powers that be, they have their sights on crypto. And you're going to start to see a lot of money start to flow into crypto. And going back to the Ripple thing, like I was saying before, what happens with Ripple is they're going to be the quote unquote sacrificial lamb to quote unquote get sued by the SEC. There's going to be some type of a settlement that's going to be reached, and there's going to be a regulatory framework that's going to be created for cryptocurrencies. This is where I think Chainlink is going to fall, Energy Web Token will fall, Quant, HBAR, all of the projects I talk about, because you know me, I've been looking at the World Economic Forum and what they're proposing in regards to the Great Reset agenda and understanding the agenda and what they're trying to do. I'm tailoring my investments around that, right? I'm basing my investment thesis around the fact that they are going to win. Do you think we still go lower? Absolutely. I believe that the Fed, we're going to get a 75 basis point rate hike this month. Then we're going to probably get 2 more rate hikes for the year. We'll probably get up to about 5% by the end of the year in regards to interest rates. But understand, in order for the Fed to truly be able to stop inflation, we would have to have interest rates above 8% for a prolonged period of time. We're talking 2 to 3 years. And if the Fed raises interest rates at that rate for that long period of time, what's going to happen to tax revenue? It's going to be horrible because capital gains taxes will be lower, real estate prices will be lower. So that's going to be a problem. And capital gains rates will be, the rates will still be there, but in regards to the flow that they're going to get, if asset prices are lower and people are cashing out at lower prices, then you're getting less revenue. So I don't see how the government will be able to fund itself and function properly over a prolonged period of time of high interest rates. So I believe inflation is going to start to not necessarily go down, but just kind of stabilize, where we're not getting these, 2% and 3% spikes. We're going to probably stabilize around about 6% inflation. And then, like I said before, market will trade a little bit lower. And after that, going into 2023, going into that spring or summer, the market will start to recover in regards to moving higher. But we're going to probably go lower going into the midterm elections. And like I said before, we'll probably base out around November, December. We'll bottom out there, move sideways, and then start moving higher again going into the spring. H bar. No problem, Beyond Powers. Lobbyists push for Congress. Absolutely. BTC will go to proof of stake eventually because the government. No, I don't believe that Bitcoin would ever go to proof of stake. I believe Bitcoin is going to remain proof of work. I believe at the end of the day, Bitcoin miners are going to be mobile and just simply just move their mining operations or start looking at ways to conceal it like they did in China. Look, they tried to ban Bitcoin mining in China. It's still going on. I just believe that when they really start cracking skulls and cracking down, people are going to submit. See, again, like I said before, the protocol is fine. You as the individual, you're not. And at 5 in the morning, if 10 guys dressed in black suits show up to your door and say, "Give me your Bitcoin mining rig," most people are going to take over. they're gonna hand over those mining rigs, right? If you get that knock at the door and you see those guys dressed in black and they say, "Hey, give me your mining equipment," what do you think most people are going to do? Do you think most people are going to say no? Most people couldn't even say no to the jab. Think about how many people went and took the jab when they got that call from their job. You're going to take this jab or you're going to lose your job. See, and again, when you're talking to the Bitcoin maximalists, most Bitcoin maximalists are morons. They're not really bright people. See, what most Bitcoin maximalists want to do, they want to sit on Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces all day long and intellectually masturbate, right? And they don't really want to get out here and really try to create solutions to some of these glaring problems. They just want to sit around all day long and talk about Satoshi and Nakamoto consensus and just jerk each other off all day long. That's what Bitcoin maxis want to do, and debate about foolishness about proof of work versus proof of stake, instead of really sitting down and figuring out how can we make the protocol more robust, more dynamic. These are the things that the conversations that should be going on, but instead it's just a circle jerk all day long about crypto bros. Mm. One of the main developers of Thorchain was behind Frontier Coin. Brother, BitBoy did a scammy vid on. Yeah, listen, BitBoy is BitBoy. We know, guys. We covered that before with the lawsuit and him having to back out of there. We know who and what BitBoy Crypto is. At the end of the day, why does BitBoy Crypto exist? And see, BitBoy Crypto isn't the problem. The individuals who follow and watch that type of content, they're the problem. See, when you come, like I want you to understand this, and this is one of the most frustrating things for me. And I spoke about this in the video. To read a report like this takes 2 hours of my day. To really read this report and understand what's going on takes 2 hours of my day. To read this, to put together this content, and then to go and say, okay, well, how can I make money from this, right? Because remember, we're here to make money at the end of the day. That takes time to put together this content for you. And I'm not talking about you per se. People don't want to sit here and watch this. They want you to, this is what people want to do. They want you to come here and tell them what doggy coin, what meme coin is going to 100x. That's all they care about. And then now you got to think about time as money. So now it gets to the point where is my time best allocated? Places that's going to pay me more. Well, what pays me more? Focusing on my investments, focusing on my Gala Games node, my Ethereum and Avalanche nodes, my DeFi investments, right? And going and get more investors to come invest with me and building out my data center and getting more, nodes and hardware. It just makes more sense to do that than to put together this type of content because it doesn't get the views that it's supposed to get. People don't support financially and donate. You don't really index and rank. So the search engines rewards that goofy type of content, and then the people reward it by watching it and financially supporting it. So, BitBoy Crypto is just a symptom. He's not the problem. You, the viewer, not you per se, but the viewers that view him, they are the problem, right? But now that goes back to, well, how is the economy structured right now? Well, we live in this Hunger Games-like economy where people don't have money. So everything becomes it's gamified, right? Because everyone has a phone. So everyone can download Coinbase, Robinhood, and now everyone just starts speculating and gambling on coins. So, it creates these type of problems that we have, where when people put together well-researched information, well thought out information, and structural information of, like I said before, reading this report right here gave me 15 different crypto investment ideas by reading this report. Because what did I keep seeing? Not blockchain, but DLTs, meaning different iterations of distributed ledger technology, right? Very, very important. When I come here and I start looking at reports like this, and I see, look at this, Samsung's investing in what? Yuga Labs. What is Yuga Labs? Those are the creators behind the whole Bored Ape Yacht Club in the Other Side metaverse. So now you start getting confirmation for investments that you're in, because you start seeing large players parking money behind these things. This is how I put my thought process together in regards to why am I looking to invest in certain things. So this is how you get a 60x. This is how you get a 100x. Not watching goofy shit that BitBoy Crypto puts together, but by reading the research report and seeing where's the money going. When I see BlackRock talking about Energy Web Token, ding, 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 ding. When I see them talking about carbon credits, ding, 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 ding. When I come here and I see BlackRock, which is one of the second, which invested the second most amount of money based upon the past year and a half, okay, they invested over $1 billion. I want to pay attention to that. I want to pay attention to that. Right? So these are the things that I talked to you guys about, as I said before, about these type of projects. This is how I put together my thought process, and then something that stood out to me about HBAR, and I've already been in HBAR, but right here with Gary Gensler, right, talking about crypto. Now, some are already SEC CFTC compliant. And this is one thing that Hedera Hashgraph tried to do, like when they had their whole token sale, the announcements, the way that they developed the technology and applications, it's all based around being regulatory compliant, right? Which is very, very powerful when you start thinking about, Hashgraph and Hedera, which is HBAR, right? It's important that you start looking at this where they're already regulatory compliant. They haven't been approved yet by the SEC or given an okay, but everything that they've been doing from the whole way they structured it was to be regulatory compliant. And this was back over almost 2 years ago. So these are things that make me more bullish on these particular cryptocurrencies. And the beautiful thing about it, like I said earlier, when you look at these market caps, you don't have to invest a lot of money in these projects to make a lot of money. Right? Like, think about it. If this project gets to $100 million market cap, you're talking about making 100 times on your money, if not more. You only need a few $1,000s in these type of projects. And don't say to me that it's not possible when Dogecoin got to a $64 billion market cap, right? Like people miss these things. Like BlackRock has these institutions, they have trillions. We're talking about getting to 100 billion. That's very doable. It's not hard to do. So the person says, how are the markets going higher next year if the Fed hasn't started QT yet? Balance sheets haven't moved a peep. If you print more money, you're on the brink of hyperinflation. You raise rates, you get a sovereign debt crisis. It's very, very simple. It becomes a seesaw effect. You go down a little bit, you go up. You go down, you go higher highs, higher lows. We're going to make the higher low going into next year, right? That's going to be our higher low. Going into 2024, so we'll be in 2023, we're going to make the higher highs. Inflation's never going to go back down to what it used to be. If inflation, if we can smash inflation the way that they say that they want to do it, we're going to have a depression. That's not going to happen in modern times. I don't see us going into any type of depression-like scenario. We're going to keep doing what we've been doing, having inflation. We're never going to really experience the hyperinflation. That doesn't happen right away. We're not going to experience hyperinflation probably for another 10 to 15 years. What we're going to experience is high levels of inflation, but then those high levels of inflation become normal. What do I mean by that? When I was a kid, I can go into the corner store with a quarter and buy a bag of chips. Now that bag of chips is $1. So we've had inflation. The bag of chips is higher, but it's not hyperinflation because you start normalizing. A bag of chips costs $1 now. And then what's going to happen? 5 years from now, bag of chips is going to cost $2. You'll just start to normalize the higher prices for things. Like back in the days, you can go to college for less than $10,000. But now you can't get a college education for nothing less than, and I'm talking from a good school, for nothing less than $50,000. It becomes normal. So what's going to happen is the inflation that we're experiencing is just going to start to get normal. People are going to get a bump in pay, and then it's just going to be normal where the inflation's at. But this concept of like, boof, we just get hyperinflation, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen that way. We're just going to have higher prices. People are going to get used to paying higher prices, and we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. I like Brother Bitboy. That's great if you like Bitboy. I'm not here to stop you. Mm-hmm. You're right about the jab. I saw a job posting today where the employer wanted a DNA swab for an unskilled labor position. Absolutely. And like I said before, many of these Bitcoin people, they talk about, this old libertarian concept and, don't tread on me. I was in all of those groups. None of those patriot groups did a damn thing when the government came in and said, shut your business down. They went in, they shut everything down, they took their $600 and they went and sat their ass down. So this concept that they're going to sit up here and they're going to keep their Bitcoin miners going, yeah, man, sell that dream to someone else because I'm not buying it. Most people, when they are in the face of danger, are going to cower. How do you think the elites got as far as they was able to get so far? How do you think that they've made it this far? You think that they've made it this far because people revolted and rebelled? No. People lay down and put their tail between their legs and do what they're told. I'm just simply telling you how you can make money. So, for instance, with wages not increasing, how is it continued inflation sustainable? Won't there be civil unrest? Employees are reducing wages. Yeah. But again, over time, guys, over time, just like how we got here, they're going to start increasing people's wages. Now, in regards in real terms, you're not going to get your wages haven't increased because you have less purchasing power. But again, the inflation is going to become normalized. Like we sit here and we forget about we had stagflation in the 70s. Right? We had rampant inflation before. The world didn't end, right? This apocalyptic scenario that Robert Kiyosaki and Peter Schiff keep talking about, they've been talking about it now for 13, 14, 15 years. Let me tell you something. We're at the end of this monetary experiment. Yes, we are. But we still have some time to go. And there's going to be ebbs and flows that's going to happen in between then, right? So you have to start saying to yourself, do you think the dollar's going to collapse next week, next year? I don't think so, right? So understand that there's going to be abilities for you to make money in those short terms. I've been watching this for a very, very long time. If I had $1 for every time a Gerald Celente, an Alex Jones, a David Icke, a Jordan Maxwell, a Noria Rabini, all of these smart economists who talked about the death of the dollar, the death of the United States, we're still here. We're still here. Do I believe eventually the dollar will collapse? Absolutely. When that will happen, we have a long time to go. We have a long time to go. So in the meantime, there's a lot of wealth that can be built. And when you're building that wealth, then you can start positioning yourself. Like, I plan on doing a review about this too. Like Robert Kiyosaki is talking about, like, buying all of this gold. Because you guys, I own a shit ton of gold. I own a lot of gold. Like I have this. I got a 1 ounce Bitcoin, a gold Bitcoin here. 10 ounces of silver, right? I have tons of gold and silver, right? But that's because I have wealth. So I'm preserving my wealth that I've built in these type of assets. If you don't have any wealth, why the hell are you buying gold? Because gold's not going to make you money. Nowhere near as much money as stocks will make you, real estate can make you, or crypto. You're not getting a 10x in gold. You're not. right? You're not going to make 40 times on your money in gold, but you can make 40 times your wealth. If you would have listened to me before when I was talking about Ethereum, you can make 40 times on your money when Ethereum is below $100. And then you take that money and then you go and buy the gold. But Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about things as if everyone's rich. Like as if everyone just has wealth. And it's like, yeah, don't save your money in the bank. Don't go invest in this. Go put your money in gold. It's like, have you looked at a chart of gold? Do you realize that gold has not broken its inflation-adjusted high from 1980? But see, again, when you're not taking the time to properly educate yourself and vet people when they say things, you kind of run with things and become emotionally attached to it. I am not a Bitcoin maximalist. I am not emotionally attached to Bitcoin. I am emotionally attached to preserving my purchasing power, preserving my sovereignty, and being planned for what's to come. And I know that the powers that be, right? The powers that be, they are looking at DLT, distributed ledger technology, which means a lot of money is going to flow into the crypto space. 100. I love that. Beautiful job, Todd Mack. He says, yep, a difference between wealth creation and wealth preservation. They're two different things. They're not the same. And I think that a lot of people don't know the difference between that, right? Create some wealth, then preserve it. Build some wealth, then preserve it. China and Russia will only invest in natural monies, BTC, gold, silver. I'm afraid the future is in the East. Absolutely, that crypto guy. I talk to you guys all the time about Russia and China will rule the fourth industrial revolution. That's still some time away. See, and this is why it's important that we hold multiple viewpoints in our head at the same time, where we can understand what benefits us short term, then how to position ourselves in the medium term, and then how to pivot long term. You have to be able to make, different decisions at different points in your life that's going to be beneficial depending on what the data, what the investment climate tells you should be doing at that time. KRP said, good point. The masses are all talk and no action, no moral courage. Absolutely. Listen, like I said before, I used to be in a lot of these patriot groups, and involved in the whole libertarian groups and Don't Tread on Me and the Rand Paul and the Ron Paul revolution. I was knee deep in all that stuff and 4chan, all of that. And then when the pandemic happened, everybody put their guns down. Nobody revolted. Nobody stood up. They shut their businesses down. They went and took their $600 and they shut their business down. That's it. They didn't do anything. When the Democrats allegedly stole the election, like many other Trump supporters believe, nothing happened. We have a guy in the White House that can barely put together a sentence. He cannot even ride a bike. Right? So if you believe that this revolution's going to happen and it's not televised, I got another thing for you. It's not happening. You should be thinking about how to position yourself so that you can be here after and that you can thrive. Okay. No problem, KRP. See, here's the beautiful thing. There's no right or wrong answer. You should be positioning yourself and positioning your portfolio, how you believe the market's going to look and what you think is going to happen. I've been in crypto from such low prices. Like I said before, when I sit here and I look at something like Constellation DAG, how much lower can it go? The market cap's what? 100 million. How much lower can it go? Right? That's my thought process, where let's say I'm wrong. And we're in a bear market for the next 2 years. In the third year, I make 100 times my money. You think I care? Right? Like, think about it. I sat through 2018, 2019, 2020 and made 60 times of my money. Right? So, I'm comfortable with sitting and waiting. I don't mind being wrong. As an investor, I make calculated bets, and I understand where we are and where we're going to go, and I understand what this technology can do. And I understand that, because me and my business partner was talking about this, that the future is going to be a blend between centralization and decentralization. It's going to be a healthy blend between the two, is what I see. the best case scenario coming out for these cryptocurrencies. And I think that any cryptocurrency that is positioning itself to work with corporations and governments, like actually work, not the bullshit that Cardano's doing, but like really building real technology that people can use. I think that those are going to be the cryptocurrencies that thrive and make a massive amount of wealth. Eli, I need to get in contact with your IT guy, by the way. Shoot me a DM, because I get, like, on Instagram, I get easily 50 to 100 DMs per day from people who want to invest with me in my different investment opportunities, or people who are joining any academy. So sometimes I may come across your DM or your email and just miss it, because I have so many different things going on at one particular time, right? So if I missed it, just shoot it to me again, and I'll be sure to make sure that I can get you in contact with my guy. Eli, do you think yield aggregators like YFI will do with ETH going to proof of stake? So one thing about me that I've learned with a lot of yield farming, because you got to think about it, like I've been doing yield farming and staking for a very, very long time, is many of these cryptocurrencies, they're really just generating yield through inflation, right? So what it becomes is kind of like a race to the bottom. Like you get this new DEX, or you get this new protocol, or like, you have like Moonbeam, and you have this new pair, right? Or, you have Spooky Swap. And what will happen is that they'll be incentivizing you to come bring your liquidity to that protocol, and they'll pay you in the token's inflation. The problem is that the token that's inflating, it drops, it drops so much that it's like, you got to be able to mine it way before everyone else starts getting into that particular pool. So I just think that it doesn't matter if it's proof of work or proof of stake, if it's a layer 2 or layer 3, you have to be early with how you go about farming. Yield farming is all about trying to reap the rewards, farm the rewards before the masses get there, right? It's very, very simple. And, I already started teaching my lifetime members this about tracking whale wallets. The best way to find out where the yield is going to be is to track large wallets and start, building, using things like Nansen, going to Etherscan, downloading all of the transaction history in something like, let's say, Time Wonderland or Olympus DAO. Because chances are that if a person was farming or doing large transactions on Olympus DAO in the first 30, 60, 90 days, that's a seasoned yield farmer. Remember, everything in crypto is public and open. So if I can get those wallet addresses that were on those protocols, those DeFi protocols that ended up being Ponzi's and collapsing, well, then I just follow you around and see what you're doing. Like I have Excel spreadsheets of like so many different wallets, and then I have alerts set out. So I just watch when they start moving money around. And that's how you can find out about things like GMX on Arbitrum and some of these other different protocols that have these attractive reward schemes. But I don't think proof of stake or proof of work is going to make any difference in regards to yield. And that becomes the next problem, right? With crypto in general. We haven't really found any real use cases or utility outside of Ponzi schemes, right? And this is where things like HBAR become very, very important, or protocols like Energy Web Token becomes important, because they're trying to find real use cases that already exist. Like trying to show businesses and corporations, hey, you can bring your business over here, and we have an enterprise grade blockchain, so that now you can kind of do business with your partners in a trust minimized way. This is where Chainlink comes into play. I was talking about this on my live stream the other day, because someone asked me, when is Chainlink going to take off? When crypto actually gets some more use cases besides yield farming Ponzi schemes. Because at the end of the day, the only real data that we're really pulling into these smart contracts is financial data, is price feeds for oracles. Once we start really, bringing in the concept of Web3, like Eric Schmidt said, who's a previous CEO of Google, he said that Web3 is real. It just has to be built. And this is why I keep saying to you guys about learning how to code, getting into IT, because those are going to be the jobs of the future. The people are going to come here and build that future. Right now, most of crypto is really used for, again, bullshit ass JPEGs, or trying to create, some token that has some farming incentive. We don't really have like real gaming on the blockchain yet. You know, healthcare exchanges and marketplaces on the blockchain where people can come and monetize their data. For example, your insurance company, Facebook, etc., they monetize your data. They take your data and sell it to third parties. Like, how do you think, for example, you see like a pharmaceutical company that wants to make a drug for people who, have diabetes, right? Where do they get the data from to be able to market to certain segments, certain geographical areas? How do you think they get that data? They get that data from health insurance markets, from doctor office visits, right? So that allows them to be able to better serve you ads and sell their products to you. Well, what happens if when we create a healthcare marketplace and exchange where you can sell your own healthcare data? So rather than your doctor's office, right, or your medical facility taking your data and selling it, what happens when there's a healthcare exchange like Uniswap where you can sell your own data, right? This is when we get to that point, that's when you're going to see things like Chainlink take off, and actually real things like HBAR take off, or even Quant, because these are real blockchains that have actual real use cases. They have technology to scale, right? We just got to convince the corporations to want to come over here. And that's one of the keys. And that's when you're going to really see crypto go from a $1 trillion market cap to a $25 trillion market cap, which is why if you've been watching me, especially if you're in my group, you would see that I'm starting to change how I'm investing, right? I'm only investing in cryptocurrencies that are generating real revenue, right? Or actually really trying to build out real technology that can scale. So I don't care if I don't get I don't mind missing out on the 3X or the 5X in these little mini pumps, because I really want to get that 40, 50X. And I believe that I can get it in the things that I'm positioned in. But with that being said, guys, we're coming up on an hour and 12 minutes. So I want to kind of wrap it up. I would encourage you guys to go here and read this report. As I said before, this report is full of a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of grandstanding, them talking about they're going to, limit the ability or eliminate the ability for proof of work mining because of the energy that it consumes. Do I think that this is going to happen anytime soon? Absolutely not. What I take from this is I was able to gather that there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines that's trying to influence where that money goes. And this is how I start positioning my portfolio. This is how I start looking for things to invest in. I think Bitcoin's going to be fine. I do not think that Bitcoin wastes electricity. I do not think that you can ban Bitcoin. Do I think that you can make it difficult on people to use? Absolutely. Do I think that you can make it difficult on people to be able to mine it? Absolutely. And what you have to be smart enough to do is read these reports and know how to eat the meat, spit out the bones, and start realizing that this technology is real and that there's going to be other winners besides just Bitcoin. And that's what I was able to take away from this. I keep hearing the word DLT. When I start looking at things like this and I see so many companies getting involved in the technology, that makes me excited. I'm not afraid. I'm more excited. When I see BlackRock talking about Energy Web Token, that gets me excited. That doesn't get me scared, right? When I see Jerome Powell talking about stable coins, that gets me excited. Why? Because it shows me that there are people who are acknowledging that the technology is real. The technology just needs to get better. And this is how you should be looking at things that you should be investing in. Now, with that being said, please like the video, subscribe, share the video, hit that notification bell, set it to all. If you want to join my text message list, text the word YouTube to the number in my description below. You'll be added to my list. If you're looking to invest in any of the investment opportunities that I have, you are going to text the word invest to the number below. And then you're going to get on my text message list, and I'm going to send you a video breaking down the investment opportunity. Please be mindful. There's a lot of people out here trying to impersonate me. Do not send money to anyone unless you hop on a Zoom call with me and you speak to me face to face, just like you're watching me right now. You need to hop on a Zoom with me and talk to me about the investment opportunities. Also, if you're interested in joining a vibrant, thriving community where you can learn about all things Web3, where you don't have to worry about anyone trying to shill you on different coins, you can come join my Tech Academy. We have a free 3-day trial. We cover all things: how to buy, how to sell, how to store, how to structure a portfolio. We're now getting into technical analysis. We have a coding boot camp going on right now. We talk about NFTs. We teach about yield farming, DeFi. On Thursday, we're going to have a DeFi strategy day. For an hour, we'll talk about some different DeFi strategies. And also, if you would like to book a consultation, again, a link is in the description below. You can do that as well. And we also have some new My Tech Academy merch. I forgot to talk about that because I have so much going on. But again, all of the resources, all of the information you need is going to be on the My Tech Academy website. With that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful evening. And I'll see you guys probably on, I want to say maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. I want to talk about the whole ESG, right? The environmental social governance standards that's being created. So all of the information you need is in the description below. Or you can also DM me. If you don't want to text message me, you can DM me on Instagram. A link to my Instagram is in the description below. Peace.